So the vice chancellor comes in, maybe 10 o'clock, walks in the morning. Don't say I said 10 o'clock. Walks in, the lights, 50%. Lots of daylight, lights on to 50%. He can then choose, if he wants to, push this button and say, oh, I don't like it. It's too dark. I want more light. Then chooses more light. Or I hate the 50% light. I turn it off. Okay? So this was the basic scenarios. No daylight sensor. No control logic. No calibration. No wiring. No RF control. And just no. Just no. Okay? Just this $53 wall sensor that you were required to do by law anyway. Okay? So automatic to 50, manual to 100, manual off. Okay? Everybody got the protocol? This is very simple, very straightforward. Okay. So this is what it looks like in a typical office. Vice Chancellor, Secretary. I found out she was even more powerful than the Vice Chancellor. So when I wanted something, I go to her. Because the Vice Chancellor just says no. His secretary says maybe. So this is the architecture here. Single switch, automatic on to 50%, manual to 100, manual to off. Okay. This was my grad student who did all the instrumentation work. She went off and she became a grad student in design, and now she's a famous designer in San Francisco. Won't return my phone calls. This is actually the chancellor. And what happens, the chancellor called, chancellor is like the president of the university. Chancellor calls me and says, Michael, I'd like some of those fancy lights. So I installed all of these lights. I did all the lighting controls. I did all the calibration. I did all the testing. It was the most expensive retrofit project in the history of our university. But you'll notice a very critical thing. What's critical about this picture? Data. These were 8 offices with this protocol. And I'm going to go through what happened. Okay? This office, and again, if you have sort of think about daylight protocols, if you have an office with daylight harvesting, the sensor in the ceiling is making the decision according to some contractor a year ago or 2 years ago. And what happens? Somebody else's decision. In this case, there's no daylight sensing. This is all being decided by the occupant. So it reverses this process because daylighting, in my mind, is a human factors issue, not an engineering issue. Human factors issue. So what happened in office number 1, okay, is this person here decided half the time, I don't like it. I want more light. Okay? 44% of the time when they walked in, they went, sat down, and started working. And they lived with the idea that half the light and the daylight were enough of them to function. Okay? This is still code. This is still code. In other words, we're getting energy savings with code because we have the vacancy sensors. They turn off when the people go for coffee. These people go for a lot of coffee. Yeah. But half the time, they lived with the light. This person here never, ever, almost never turned on the other light. They kept it at 50%. Okay? This person, maybe 38% of the time. Here, 70% of the time. This was actually off. Okay? This person didn't like it. This person wanted 50%. This person hated electric lighting and always turned it off. This one was off. This one was off. This one was off. And so if you look at average, if you boil all this data, 13% of the time, a person would reset this to code. They'd push the button and say, I don't like it. I'm not happy with the... And this may be at night. They may be working at night. These people usually don't work at night. But this one, 70% of the time, they chose to turn the lights off. 17% of the time, they chose to turn the lights on to full level. And so we were getting more than 50% over code with no sensors, no RF, no wiring, no anything. It was all based on user control, and they really liked this. And so we expanded this, and we did this in a number of offices, and now in Title 24, this is actually recognized as approach. And it's much lower cost than typical daylighting protocols. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't do the daylighting protocol, but this is, I used up all my time, boss. I'm sorry? I could talk all day. So let's do questions. Because they're going to cut me. Can we do questions?